Hello, good afternoon. Welcome to the Marketplace with me, Charles IIT. This afternoon, we're bringing you all the latest business stories making headlines, including an introduction to an economic and, of course, an exports curricula by the Ghana Export Promotion Authority, where entrepreneurs and exporters will be given the chance to have a clear understanding of developments in the export market. Also, latest data from the Bank of Ghana shows the first quarter revenue hitting more than pre-pandemic levels, supporting also economic rebound claims. Plus, Ghana's gross international reserves expected to rise by 11.1% to $8.8 billion this year, a move that will preserve the stability of the cedi for larger part of this year. We have all these stories coming up shortly this day. And you're welcome to the program. The latest data from the Bank of Ghana continues to support claims of a strong rebound in the economy. The data further shows that the economy may not have recovered significantly from the shocks of the first wave of COVID-19. Figures show that the country has raised 3 billion cedis more than the same period for last year. Philip Abrebu Otu is the Director of Research at the Bank of Ghana.
The governor also said that because he had seen the various constituents of our composite index of economic activity, which shows that all the indicators are now operating above their pre-pandemic levels, which is a good sign. The most interesting thing that we saw was VAT receipts, which had gone up significantly high. We also saw data on government revenues for the first quarter, and they were doing far better than what we saw same time last year. The gap in there is about 3 billion more revenues had come in same time March than it was same time last year, which is an indication that economic activity is on the rebound. And of course, to sum it up, our composite index of economic activity had jumped up by some 13.9% against, I think, 3.9% that we saw same time last year.
And that's Philip Abredu Otu, the Director in charge of research at the Bank of Ghana. Away from that, Ghana's gross international reserves is expected to rise by a little over 11% this year to hit $8.8 billion, representing about 4.5 months of import cover. That's according to Fitch Solutions research arm of ratings agency Fitch in its April 2021 Africa Monitor report. Here's Charles Nixon's Yeboah's report.
Increase in the reserves is as a result of robust global growth, which has triggered demand for Ghana's export commodities, including oil, gold, and cocoa. This is expected to preserve the stability of the cedi at around 5 cedis 80 pesos to the dollar in the first few months of this year. The Bank of Ghana put the country's gross international reserves at the end of February this year at $8.71 billion, providing cover for 4.2 months of imports of goods and services. Fitch Solutions said although dollar demand from importers will rise during the year amid a general improvement in economic conditions, the increase and the resulting pressure on the cedi is likely to be relatively muted in the first half of the year. This will keep prices of many imported goods unchanged unless taxes go up. The cedi strengthened by 1.1% against the dollar in January this year, therefore more than recovering from its modest 0.3% fall in December last year. Meanwhile, Fitch Solutions says exports are likely to pick up relatively swiftly on the back of rebounding growth in major markets, notably China, which is one of Ghana's single largest export markets. This is expected to result in an improved terms of trade.
The Association of Ghana Industries has added a layer of competitiveness to consumable products through the introduction of a health safety seal called the Obasima Seal. Now, the relevance of this seal is to set out the nutritional benefits of certified consumable products, of course, in the Ghanaian, African, and international market. Let's hear from the Chief Executive of the AGI, Setchum Okwabwa, on what this means for Ghana's place in the Continental Free Trade Agreement area.
We live in a competitive world now. With the CFTA coming on board, what it means is that your market is going to be opening even more for African countries to bring their products in, and you can also export to other African markets. Now, when they talk about competition, it's in different ways, on different fields. You can have competitive products in terms of quality, and then you can also have competitive products in terms of price. The thing about quality is that the consumers must accept it as a quality product, and it means that it must make a good impact on their health when they consume it. The idea of the Basima logo is that we are giving it to companies who are producing food products that has the critical vitamins, about 18 different vitamins, that is fortified in the food. So you are sure that when you eat those products, you actually have all those vitamins being consumed, and that is good for your health. So you've gone through a whole long process in coming up with it. So once you have Obasima product, Obasima logo on your product, it's quality assurance that you really have those vitamins being consumed. For that reason, if the product is that good and people are buying it, you will have a good market share. The logo is going to be promoted not just in Ghana but also internationally, and therefore, if later you see this logo on the African market, companies, individuals, institutions are going to patronize it. And by patronizing it, you're actually increasing the capacity of the companies to produce more, and we're enhancing the productive capacity of the companies. So, to summarize, the Basima logo is important as a certification mark to give a strong indication that the product you are consuming is of good quality, it has all those good vitamins, so patronize it. And as you are patronizing, you're actually also helping promoting made in Ghana products.
Well, from the AGI, we move to the Ghana Expo Promotion Authority, which has launched an educational curriculum for Ghanaian exporters to align themselves with international trade policies under the World Trade Organization. The CEO of GEPA, Dr. Efuasabi Asare, detailed the need for a diploma in international trade online program, citing its competitiveness and its advantage for Ghanaian exporters.
Today's event, occasioned once again by the collaborative efforts of the International Trade Center and the Institute of Export and International Trade, gives credence to the importance we place on our human resource to ensure that we succeed as a country in our economic growth. In the last quarter of 2020, Ghana Export Promotion Authority, under the auspices of the Ministry of Trade and Industry and the able leadership of Mr. Alan Chematin, launched the National Export Development Strategy to enable Ghana attain export revenues of 25.3 billion USD by 2029. This comprehensive document was put together with the collaborative efforts of over 100 persons drawn from the private sector, academia, public service, media, and civil service organizations. Significantly, the success of the strategy rests on 3 pillars, and these are: 1, to expand and identify the supply base for value-added industrial export products and services; to improve the business regulatory environment for exports; to build and expand the required human capital for industrial export development and marketing. The third pillar involves upgrading GEPA's Export School as an accredited tertiary institution to provide capacity building initiatives for our exporters. In the long term, it is expected that Ghana's educational system will be re-engineered to reflect the human resource needs to address Ghana's efforts towards an export-oriented industrialized economy. The ultimate objective is to orient graduates to transforming Ghana's natural resources and raw commodities into manufactured economic wealth. The expected outcome for the third pillar of the National Export Development Strategy is to have a substantial number of trained men and women actively engaged in businesses in the industrial export product and services value chains countrywide. Obviously, the launch of the Diploma in International Trade will serve as one of the many building blocks in the third pillar of Ghana's national export development strategy. In an era where the AfCFTA continues to trend and dominate in trade discussions, more work needs to be done to prepare and encourage SMEs to tap into the benefits of AfCFTA. Surveys show that only 45% of African SMEs are ready to take advantage of the Africa Continental Free Trade Area Agreement. In order for business of all sizes to reap the benefit of the agreement, clarity, consistency, and transparency are essential ingredients. Additionally, the collaborative effort between public and private sector is also important. This is why we are grateful for the support of the International Trade Center and the Institute of Export and International Trade in ensuring that trading between partner countries is competitive. Both development partners are able to do this by providing access to pragmatic topical learning materials and practical business support services for skills development. As an agency mandated to develop and promote made in Ghana goods and services, GEPA's advisory role has become more interesting and complex, occasioned by the kickoff of the AfCFTA and the global turbulence of the past year, which is still ongoing. As an organization, we have had to heavily rely on technology for business continuity as a main source of connecting to global markets to carry out our mandate.
Well, from issues related to the diploma and exports, let's now deal with other matters on the European front, because the EU is threatening to impose restrictions on Ghana and Cote d'Ivoire on cocoa exportation into ports of their member countries if the deforestation that is being caused by illegal mining is not dealt with. According to a deputy CEO of Cocoa Board, Dr. Emmanuel Ajimanjumo, who revealed this at the ongoing National Consultative Dialogue on Small-Scale Mining, the EU also believes that growing of cocoa in the thick forest might be one of the driving forces. Ghana exports 80% of its cocoa into the European Union market, according to Cocoa Board, and are worried the impacts the Galamsey menace will have on the finances of the country and the cocoa sector. Well, Joy News' Cocoa Asante joins us via Zoom for more on this development story. So, Cocoa, tell us more about this development, this threat we're hearing from the quarters of the EU.
Right, so this forum that has been seeking to, as it were, gather information from stakeholders in the sector and be able to develop a way forward in terms of how we will be able to curtail the impact of the illegal small-scale mining. The Cocoa Board Deputy Chief Executive Officer made a presentation where he revealed that the Galamsey menace is having a really debilitating impact on the sector, where he revealed that EU, the European Union, is threatening to impose restrictions on Ghana and then Cote d'Ivoire regarding cocoa exportation into their member countries because of deforestation that is being caused by Galamsey. We know very much how EU and other allied countries relate to deforestation and other things. And so they are saying, aside the idea that cocoa yields are going down drastically, it is very important that we take decisive steps against that I'm saying to be able to move forward to a point where, to a market where we send 80% of our cocoa. These countries do not just ban us from exporting our cocoa because of Galamsey. And so they are calling for an all hands on deck. The Cocoa Board is willing to partner with the Lands and Natural Resources Ministry to be able to develop the way forward for this sector.
Interesting. We know that Dr. Emmanuel Ajimanjumo also disclosed that Galamsey is impacting crop yields negatively. What exactly was the import of his statement?
Right. So according to him, in Western region, which is one of the most important regions in terms of cocoa growing and cocoa cultivation, about 5,000 hectares of land have been destroyed. And the government would have to spend another money to reclaim this land. So he revealed, for instance, that 1 hectare of land can only be reclaimed by around 10,000 Ghana cedis. And so this is hitting government, and they are trying to reclaim this land. But they are saying that the kind of things they've monitored over the past few months indicate that cocoa yield is going down in some of these areas in the Ashanti region, in the eastern region, and the western region, where Ghana get most of its cocoa from. And so they are also getting in touch with government and other ministries to ensure that they can all come together to develop a roadmap and stop this impact of galamsey. And so Cocoa Board is hoping that this consultative forum will serve as one means of dealing with the impact of illegal small-scale mining.
Great, but what other issues came up at the consultative forum?
Right, so yesterday when it started, the president said that he was not going to shield any of his appointees, but he was not going to act on hearsay. This morning, cocoa growers as well as members of the academia have been joining in to be able to find solutions for this. And for instance, there was a part of this session today when it came up that it will cost Ghana about $250 million to be able to deal with reclaiming the kind of lands that have been destroyed so far. So far, the forum has been broken into 3 sessions before the Minister for Lands and Natural Resources will come in to deliver the communique of this dialogue.
Kweku Asante, we're so grateful for that update. Here's at the Accra International Conference Center, where the consultative forum on matters regarding illegal small-scale mining is underway, with various solutions to the issues being proffered. We shall keep an eye on this development. But away from that, the price of some petroleum products are expected to go down from this weekend. This is based on data that Joy Business has secured from the bulk importers of petroleum products. But will consumers really benefit from this reduction, as previous declines were not applied? George Rafi has the details.
Based on these new price levels that these bulk oil firms are going to supply to the oil marketing companies, diesel should be reduced by a little over 2% per litre. This should mean that a litre should be sold at 5 Ghana cedis 25 pesos, translating into 23 cedis 62 pesos per gallon. The reduction in price of this finished product is based on improved supply of diesel on the international market. On the other hand, the price of petrol should go up by a little over 1% per litre. The increase is due to demand for these products as Europe switch into summer very soon. From this weekend, a litre should be sold at 5 Ghana cedis 46 pesos. But for many, their biggest concern will be whether these oil marketing firms abide by these new prices. For instance, prices should have gone down by some 4 pesos per litre some 2 weeks ago. But our checks show that most of these firms are yet to adjust their prices. However, it is said that some of these companies are quick to review their prices when they are supposed to go up, but the same cannot be said when there's supposed to be a reduction. This has led to some calling for a review of this price deregulation policy, as most of these oil firms are just not complying. But some of these companies still continue to complain that their cost of operations are going up and the current price levels is not giving them a good return on their investments. We're still not sure about whether the new taxes announced in the 2021 budget have been applied on these products and how things will look like in terms of the price dynamics going forward.
Now, inflation remained unchanged in the month of March, registering a rate of 10.3%. Now, this is despite a significant jump in inflation rates in the non-food sectors of housing, water, electricity, and gas. Here's more.
The rate of inflation recorded for the period indicates a relative stability in prices of most goods and services for the month, despite a slight increase in the annual basis. The non-food sector, for the first time since the rebasing of the Consumer Price Index, had a higher rate of inflation. Here is government statistician Professor Kobina Enim.
For the first time since we rebased our CPI in August 2019, we see housing, electricity, water, and gas inching to a third as a contributor to overall year-on-year inflation. Indeed, the contribution of housing, water, electricity, and gas is 29.7%, and this is the highest that we've recorded since the rebasing exercise in August 2019. We do further disaggregation on a month-on-month basis, and we see that housing, water, electricity, and gas, and restaurants and accommodation services are the only 2 divisions that record a month-on-month inflation that are higher than the average for the period April 2020 to March 2021.
Meanwhile, Professor Inim has been responding to the contributions of the newly introduced taxes in the 2021 budget on the rate of inflation. According to him, any effect will be determined by accompanying government policies.
The challenge is our ability or inability to predict the extent and the dimension. What we should always bear in mind is that the implications of tax would not be operating in a vacuum. The implications of tax would have to compete with other government interventions. So how it's going to impact on general prices of goods and services will be determined by the net effect that would come from the other policies that are being put in place concurrently with the taxes that are being imposed. So yes, one would expect it, but it would be difficult to say the extent and the dimension by which it would impact on prices of goods and services.
The Greater Accra region continued to record the highest rate of inflation of 17%.
Well, government has begun the process to procure 2 diesel multiple unit coaches for the railway line from Tema to Impakada. Now, this is part of moves to ensure that the about 70-kilometer railway line begins operation by November this year. The Chief Executive of the Ghana Railway Development Authority, Ya Owusu, disclosed to Joy Business this particular initiative when he took the Minister for Railways on a tour to inspect progress of work. Here is more.
The railway line from Tema to Impakadan is progressing steadily despite few challenges encountered by contractors. According to the Ghana Railway Development Authority, the Ministry of Finance has approved for the purchase of 2 diesel multiple unit coaches for the purposes of this line from Tema to Impakadan.
We are working, to address them.
Have we started procuring coaches for them already?
Yes, my understanding is that this section 2 coaches has already...
The Ministry of Finance has approved the purchase of 2 DMUs, which is diesel multiple units, to transport passengers from Tema to Impakadan. Yes.
So when are they likely to enter into the country?
Most likely before the completion of this project in November, before November.
Meanwhile, the Railways Minister, after the tour, expressed confidence that the timeline of November 2021 will not be extended. John Peter Amewu also disclosed that he will begin formal discussions with the Transport Minister to develop an ultra-modern terminal and port at the terminating point of the railway line at Impakadan near Akosombo.
They should be able to live up to that completion period. Progress is quite encouraging. At Impakadan, you saw what we witnessed there. There was a bit of concern. What happened? What next? And it's important that we need to talk to my colleague, the Transport Minister, to have some level of collaboration to see what we can do quickly at the port of Impakadan. Otherwise, it's a train to say nowhere. It's important that some activities is done there, which obviously falls within the Transport Ministry's area. So I have to discuss with you and engage him quickly. Because of this progress, completion, as I said earlier on, would be sooner than expected, and that port needs to be completed.
The visit also took the minister to the Kwamu Paramount Chief's Palace, where he paid homage to the traditional authority and also...
Well, that's how we end this edition of The Marketplace. My name is Charles Aite. For more news, you log on to myjoyonline.com. Have a good afternoon.